Mic check. 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 Oh, shoot. Excuse me. Sharing to a few people. Give me a minute. I'm trying to share. Tag some people and then share to some groups real quick. Give me a second. Yeah, and the people I'm sharing it to share share the video. All right, let me share it to some of these groups. Hey, Sin, accepted in the NBK Live group. I just sent it in there. Appreciate it, y'all. Is my volume good? I'm still trying to share it to a few more groups. Is my volume good? I'm trying to make sure I'm not in all these other groups. I'm just trying to make sure. Let's see. I done share them to whatever I can share them to, man. In that language group, I'll put it in there. Yeah, I'm not in a bunch of groups. Is my volume good, y'all? Peace, Yashua. Peace, Hotep Sin, any Sean Khalifa. Peace, Brianna. Peace, Shy Zero. I hope I'm saying your name right. Peace, Travis. Peace, Shaka. Peace, John. Hotep Donnell. Peace, Christy. Peace, Chris. Peace, Kevin. So you saying, okay, I just want to make sure the volume real good. Just shared in a few other groups. Get started in a minute. I know I ain't gonna have a bunch on here tonight due to the subject matter and due to I think Sinetta got something on his station right now. So I know a lot of people over there on Sinetta TV. Peace, John Nix. Peace, mommy, peace. Y'all give me about 3 more minutes and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Get started in a minute. And this presentation here is gonna clear up a lot of stuff. It's just gonna clear up a lot of stuff to the misinformed. Peace, bro Mike, how you doing? Peace, Nicole. So it's just gonna clear up. This video just gonna clear up yeah, this video just gonna clear up a bunch of misinformation. So it's very educational. It's gonna be very educational. I hope y'all appreciate the video because this video kind of took me. I mean, this PowerPoint took me a few days and had a few problems getting it started because I supposed to did it yesterday and I just had a whole bunch of issues with putting this stuff together. Just a whole lot of issues, but I finally got it done. So I'm gonna just go ahead and hey mom, I'm gonna just go ahead and get started because I want to go and get started and get off here. I'm waiting to see it. No doubt, TJ, I'm finna get started, man. With it now, man. Let me go back. But everybody say my volume is good. All right. I'm gonna start out with my intro video, and then we'll get into the presentation.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man. I'm raising my team, green like a green, queen, the king, salute now green, I should bring forth another unit. I should five different. I'm raising my team, red like a green, queen, king, salute now green, I should bring forth another unit. I should five different. I should.
All right. Like I said, today's or peace, brother Ben, peace, Ampu, my Rob, peace, Curtis Chambers, peace, Frederick E. Spoke to everybody else. Like I said, today's presentation is called "What is Voodoo?" It's Voodoo from West Africa, and it's Voodoo what Hollywood and TV told us. Because a lot of what we learn about what Voodoo is, we learn it from Hollywood and we learn it from TV. So we're gonna get into it what voodoo is. All right, I always have to put a disclaimer out here before I get started. The disclaimer: I am not a teacher but merely a student sharing information, and the information provided is for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research or have it verified by someone qualified.
I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation to shut down, sell, or change the terms of its use at my own discretion. All trademarks, designs, rights, copyrights, registers, names, mottos, logos, avatars, insignias, and marks used or cited by this website are the properties of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available and or adapt changes, approved information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, deletions encouraged. Okay, peace James Keys, peace Jehudi Asah, Ra. Now before I get started, I kind of got ahead of myself. I want to say ETM Hotep, Hekanuyenek, Ra Kwai, Sekam, Dua Duau, Dua Necha, Fapmu Iwa Pele, Fapmu Alafie, Agum Mujube, Iba E, Igungun Kiki, Igungun. So basically, I'm not gonna go through all of it. Y'all have been watching my shows pretty lately, but I always like to welcome in peace, welcome peace into the chat, peace into peace onto the video. I also want to bring forth, also said, bring forth peace and bring forth good character. Because again, we talk about we are African centered, or we're African descent, or we're African people. Again, our foundation is based on good character. I said Fatmu Iwa Pele, which is bring forth good character. So let's exhibit good character in the chat as well. Said my name is Kofi Paisai. I gave honors and revered the ancestors, because again, without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. So I always want to give praise and honors to the ancestors before I take a part in a great. Before I take part in anything that I do. Peace, Alama. Peace, Orandi Branch. I think Vodun is closely related to Congo concept of Futu, which Foucault talks about. All right. This is my saying. I always say this is a powerful saying to me. As I learn, we all learn. And this is something that we should take, you know what I'm saying, take heed of. I mean, as I learn things, I like to share information with the family. And I think we can all get ahead if what we learn, we share with our family, no matter what it is, just share it with the family. That's the only way we'll be able to grow and we'll be able to build. Before I get started, I want to go into a video, 8 minutes of the video by Baba Smalls. Just to I'm gonna go into like some of the stuff that he's talking about on his video. So I'm just gonna let him talk for about 8 minutes, and then we're gonna get straight into the PowerPoint video.
Healthy discussion about voodoo and about Haiti.
Peace, Bill.
But more about voodoo than Haiti. And when we say voodoo in Haiti, that simply means traditional African spiritual system, or an indigenous African spiritual system. The indigenous African spiritual system, which is common to all of the continent, is called voodoo in Haiti as the manifestation. In other parts of Africa, it's called other things, but what we're talking about is the traditional or indigenous African spiritual system that forms the African worldview. And that is what's under attack. One of the last conversations I had with Dr. Asa Hilliard, he told me to teach our people that we're in a cultural war, and that if we don't win the culture war, we will not win the political and economic war, no matter how many battles we win on the political and economic front. If you do not win the culture war, you will lose the whole battle. The cultural battle, you will lose the whole war. And so what we see in Haiti over the last really 300 years is an attack on the African psyche, an attack on the African worldview, an attack on the African cosmogony by attacking the African spiritual system, which is at the center of African culture. And the word voodoo comes from the Fon language. Many of the people in Haiti come from the the area we now call Benin. In Benin, one of the words for God is Voodoo. In its neighboring country, Togo, where the Ewe people are cousin people to the Fan people live, their word for God, one of their words for gods, is Voodoo. Matter of fact, in Togo, when you want to say the nature of God in man, you say Voodoo Daha, meaning the God in me. If you want to call on God Almighty, the Fan people, as well as the Haitian people, use the word Lisa. In Togo, the neighboring country, they use the word Sobe Lisa, which means God is every and all things at once. That God exists alone, and everything else that exists is an expression of an aspect of the divine essence. And that is the nature of Voodoo. What Voodoo says is that everything that exists is an aspect of God, and thus the essence of God is in all things: plants, animals, earth, water, humans. And because the divine essence is in all things, then we should treat all things as though they are an expression or representative of the divine essence. And so in the structure of Voodoo, Voodoo call them Loas. I'm an Orisha priest, a priest of Oya, from the Yoruba perspective, which is the same system as the Haiti system. And the Yorubas call them Orisha. The Haitians call them Loas. But what we're talking about is the forces of nature that we know about and that we recognize. Africans in the Voodoo system and the Orisha system have been able to discern in nature over 240 primary forces and another 500 to probably 1,000 sub-forces that are elements of one of these 240 primary forces. And what I'm talking about when I say forces, we are talking about, if you're talking about a plant, and pick a specific plant, we know that in any specific plant, there is pharmaceutical elements that would allow you to use that plant to help assist in the healing of the human body or the replenishing of the human body. So that element of that plant that will assist in the healing or the replenishing of the human body is called a force, or an orisha, or power of God in this living thing. And the same thing with animals. In all animals, the animal contains the essence of the divine. And so when you do a sacrifice and you kill an animal, the vital energy that was that animal is released. And the African tradition says that you can capture that vital energy and use it for good. Everybody talks about voodoo as being something that could be used for bad. Well, if that's the case, why haven't we defeated the Europeans with it? If we've got this power to do harm and destructive things, why haven't we used this power to destroy the imperialists, to destroy the colonialists, to destroy the oppressors, to destroy those who practice genocide against us? That's not what voodoo is about. Voodoo is about understanding nature, your relationship to nature, nature's relationship to you, and to be able to discern your interdependence on nature and nature interdependence on you, the human family. And that system of organizing, which goes back as far as the first African, it actually goes back to God, the divine itself. Because in the beginning, in our system, ancestry plays a great role. And in Haiti, if you go to any home, even those who say they're Catholic, almost every home in Haiti, whether they proclaim Christianity or not, have shrines to their ancestors. And ancestors is not a big deal. When you tell someone in modern society that you are going to take their DNA what you're telling them is that I'm going to examine who your ancestors are. Your DNA is your traces of your ancestors. So when someone takes your DNA, they're looking to see what are the trace elements of your ancestors that still remain in your genes, and what ancestors still remain in your genes. And so the ancestors are not dead and gone. The ancestors are actually embedded in us, in our DNA, embedded in every cell and every gene in our body. You know, there's an African way of saying it, that we are the best collections of our ancestral genes, of the most powerful genes of our ancestors. Thus, we are the latest model and the highest tech version of those ancestors. And when we pass these genes on to our children, we not only pass ourselves on, we pass all the ancestors that came before us in that line on. So the ancestors isn't something in the past. The ancestors is embedded in the DNA of your body, the genes, the molecules, the electrons and the protons that are in you are the experiences and the result of those experiences that all your ancestors have had since the divine God itself. Because God is the first ancestor. Out of God came the essence and element that made the first human. And in us are the elements that came from the divine into the first human that has been passed down to us. That is the essence of Voodoo. It is the sacred science of African indigenous spiritual system. And that is under attack by the Christian world, primarily, to some degree by the Muslim world, but particularly by the Christian world. Because if the African spiritual system and the African indigenous theology begins to govern African social construction, then you will not.
All right. I just wanted to play some of the video so y'all can kind of get it. Baba James Smalls thing on Voodoo, because some of the things that he's talking about, we're gonna go definitely into some of the things that he talked about. So I just wanted to set the PowerPoint up with Baba Smalls talking about some of the things that I'm going to go into today. Peace, Kaba Nepti Unkti. Peace, Rashonda Cowell. Peace, Sandra Marie Weathersby. Peace, Thea Cross. Peace, Set. Brian. Peace, D Banks. Just always want to speak to the people that just coming in. Peace, Alvin Demetrius Brooks. If you're still in here, I think I already spoke to you, but if I didn't, peace to you, brother. All right. So y'all heard from Baba James Small. All right. To the uninitiated, Voodoo has long been thought as a primitive form of magic and belief in ghosts. Most of what average layman's known of Voodoo comes only from misleading use in the Hollywood horror movies and in the paperback thrillers that emphasize witch doctors, which supposed to be witch doctors, or the sticking of pins in the voodoo dolls. So a lot of what we are learning is not what we're learning. It comes from TV. It comes from Hollywood. It comes from these garbage novels that we're reading about voodoo, and we're gonna get into why they demonize voodoo. And voodoo is older than some of the religions that we practice today. And we're gonna clear up the misconception of what voodoo is today. But the fact is that voodoo encompasses an exceedingly complex religion and magic with complicated rituals and symbols that have developed for thousands of years, perhaps longer than any other of today established faith. The belief of voodoo, and there are millions of blacks and some whites who practice it, centered his hopes and fears as strongly on it as it does a follower in Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, or Islam. Indeed, Haitian's atmosphere seems ever impregnated with it, as if it was rich mystical aroma of Africa, to the extent that the individual as well as families and conscious voodoo's effects upon their lives. So it's telling you that voodoo has been existing for thousands of years. And again, some of the things that we're practicing today, far as Christianity, far as Islam, far as Judaism, which and it's like I said, it's over 45,000 religions on the planet, but we're talking specifically with Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, which are briefly around 2,000 to 3,000 years. Voodoo, they say voodoo exists, and you got some say 4,000, 6,000, or 10,000 years. So voodoo, this system, which is an African spiritual system, which we're gonna get into that too, it exists longer than any of these religions that we are following today. And we're gonna get into why they demonize it and who is demonizing it and trying to keep us away from one of our indigenous spiritual systems. All right. The origins of voodoo are rooted in West Africa, modern-day Benin, which was called Dahomey. Yes, at first it was Benin is in West Africa. It was called Dahomey at first. And then I think in 1970, the French had it. And then I think after they defeated the French and got from up under the thumb of the French, I think in 1975, don't take my word for it, but I think in 1975, they changed the name from Dahomey to Benin. Benin is regarded as the birthplace of this religion, and the name voodoo itself means spirit or deity, which we are talking about the essence of God or the essence of us when we talk about voodoo. So voodoo means spirit or deity, as Baba Smalls said a while ago in his video. He said God. Voodoo means God. Voodoo means the spirit or deity. And in the local fun language, it has been suggested that voodoo in West Africa involved in the ancient traditions of the ancestors' worship and animism. The forms of voodoo practiced today, however, are the results of the most inhuman episode in modern history in the African slave trade that took place between the 16th and 19th century. So basically, I'm going to get into, because it was called Vodun, Voodox, if I'm saying it right. And then it became voodoo during the via the Atlantic slave trade, or doing the slave trade during the 16th and the 1900s. And we're gonna get into the story of how it went from voodoo to Vodun during the Atlantic slave trade, of the period during the slave trade or the kidnapping trade. All right, the word voodoo, and I got up here the Fon people. We talk about the Fon people, which they say the word originated from here, and then I have the Yoruba people on the other side over here. The word voodoo is derived from the word Vodun, which means spirit and deity, as is stated in the last slide. The Fon people and the Yoruba are neighbors and share many ideals about life, nature, and spirituality, which is correct. Both the Fon people and the Yoruba people respect the power of words, drums, leads, and rituals. And a few others, their deities even have similar names. Nevertheless, the Fon and the Yoruba are two distinct traditions, each with its own practice and teachings, only some of which intersect. So a lot of things that I'm gonna be sharing, it is similar to the Yoruba culture, not to the Yoruba culture. Those that practice Ifa, the Yoruba people that practice Ifa, even it's similar to the people in Ghana. You know what I'm saying? The Akan people are similar to the people in Kemet, the Remich or the Kemetu in Kemet, which is in North Africa. A lot of these systems are similar. When you start to study a lot of our indigenous African spiritual systems, a lot of these systems are basically the same. Hotep, Sin Chris Logic Wood, peace, J.W. Ross, peace, James Harton. Don't forget Ptah created shape, transform, spirit concept. Yes, they should be up on that by now. Shaziro, I done the presentation on what is the nature/nature. We got into that. The four cosmology story with me, Asar, MK on my YouTube channel, Kofi Paisa TV, and the recent video I did, the 75 Praises of Ra. So the family ought to be already up on that. Hagami is the voodoo priest. Yes, we're gonna get into that too, Queen Kaba, Nepti, Unkti. We're gonna get into the priest. We're gonna get into some more with the fun people, and so forth. All right. The fun language, Vodun, and the U language, pronounced voodoo with a nasal high tone U, also spelled Vodun, Vodown, voodoo, 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 etc. It's practiced by the U people in eastern and southern Ghana, and the southern central Togo, and the Gabi people, Jing-speaking people, and the Fon people of southern central Togo and the southern central Benin. It is also practiced by some Gan people of Lagos and Ogun in southern west Nigeria. Yes, you have voodoo also in Nigeria as well. Some say voodoo or the spirits rest in Ifa, the sacred city of Nigeria in southwestern Nigeria, is the basic of where voodoo started at also. And then the ancestors after the Atlantic slave trade, the ancestors no longer rest in Nigeria, but they rest in Haiti, in Haiti, I mean, after the slave trade, and a lot of our ancestors going into that certain area, because we know voodoo is practiced heavy in Haiti, but it's practiced heavy over here in North America as well. Oh, and I had the Gagbi people and the Ghana people here, the Ghana people and the Gagbi people here. And I put the women up here too, because I'm not going to always show men all the time. We have to have balance and stop showing men all the time and start showing the women, putting the women out toward the forefront and talking about the women too as well. All right. I got two books over here, The Chronology of Human Evolution, Unc West, and The Secrets of Voodoo by Malo Rigado. In Unc West's book, The Chronology of the Human Evolution, on page 10, in his book, African Origins of Western Religion by Dr. Ben, writes that voodoo, Voodoks come from the Dahomey in West Africa, which we just talked about on the other slide, Dahomey, and was the original name, and then it was changed to Benin in 1975 after the people got up under the thumb or liberated themselves from up under the French, because the French came in and colonized that area one period of time. In West Africa, where it means genius or protecting spirits. Milo Regard writes in his book, Secrets of the Voodoo, that Vu means introspection and Do means unto the unknown, into the mysteries. What that all means is that voodoo is a creative force and is the belief system joins in union with religion. They are compiled together, always to be learned together and to take advantage of the creative force. When we learn about that force, we get math, science, arts, etc. The math, science, and arts are the expressions of who we are inside. The Africans have mastered religion, and religion was an explanation of science, which it was. If you understand certain things, like if you go back and look at the one me and Asar Imaka did on Saturday on my YouTube channel, Kofi Paisa TV. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel, please go to Kofi Paisa TV and subscribe and hit the bell. But we went into the, or even if you missed that one and you checked out my 75 names of Ra presentation that I did last week, I went into the Big Bang Theory. So I actually went back and touched on the cosmology story that was told in the allegory and myth story that actually was talking about how things came into creation, nature, us, and et cetera, et cetera. So I went into the cosmology, then I went into the 75 names of Ra and broke down those 75 names of Ra, which were nothing but forces of nature, forces in the universe, characteristics and principles, and etc. All right. Voodoo, Vodun, is a derivative of religion that has been around in Africa for times immemorial. Some conversations estimate that these civilizations and religions to be over 10,000 years old. As I stated, Voodoo is one of our indigenous spiritual system that comes from out of West Africa. And we know that we got introduced to a lot of what we're practicing to today via slavery, the Barbary Coast slave trade up under the Arab, and the Atlantic slave trade up under the European. So we know through those times we was converted to their forms of religion. So, and those forms of religion that we're practicing today are no older than 2,000 or 3,000 years old. And voodoo is older, way older than that. It says conversation estimated the civilization and the religion to be over 10,000 years old. This then identifies voodoo as probably the best example of African syncretism in America. So we're going to go into it becoming voodoo to via the Atlantic slave trade becoming voodoo, because it talks about the synchronism in America. And we know our ancestors were kidnapped and took to Portuguese, Spain, and took to the Caribbeans, took to South America, and then later into North America, where we reside, what we call the United States of America. So, but saying the word voodoo anywhere in the world is tied to darkness and evil. It is a byword for bad religion. Ironically, and we're going to get into who gave us this perception of why they are, every time you use this word, they have put in our psyche, in our psyche, that this word voodoo is bad. So every time we hear the word voodoo, no matter who hear the word, in their psyche or in their subconscious, it's always going to set off an alarm of something dark, something evil, something bad, which is not the case. It is a byword of a bad religion. Ironically, it was the enforced immigration of enslaved Africans from different ethnic groups that provided a circumstance for the development of voodoo. European colonists thought that by desolating the ethnic groups, these could not come together as a community. However, in the misery of slavery, the transplanted Africans found in their faith and common thread, they began to invoke not only their own gods, but to practice rites of others than their own. So this is where the synchronism started to take place. You have to understand something. Everybody that they kidnapped from Africa, they did not speak the same language. Their forms of spirituality was similar, but a little bit different. So everybody that they kidnapped didn't practice the same thing, didn't speak the same thing, you see? So this is where the synchronism comes into place right here, but we're talking about the synchronism. All right. The European colonized that desolated the ethnic groups. Those could not come together as a community. However, in misery of slavery, the transplanted Africans found in their faith a common thread. They began to invoke not only their own gods, but the practice rites of their own. In this process, the commingled and modified ritual of various ethnic groups, the results of such fusions was that the different religion groups integrated their beliefs, thereby creating a new religion, voodoo. The word voodoo comes from the West African word voodoo, as we have already established. The Afro-Caribbean religion mixed practice from many African ethnic groups, such as the Fon, the Nigo, the Igbos, the Homis, the Congos, the Sinhalese, the Hausa, the Kalapas, the Mandis, the Mandis. I'm pronouncing the names a little bit incorrect, but forgive me, family. The Angozis, the Libyans, the Ethiopians, and the Magachis. So these were, again, as I stated, these were different. different people from different regions, you know, that speak and had their own language and practice and had their own spiritual systems, and they fused and they merged their spiritual systems together. They came together, and this is something that we should take as I started studying these things and stuff like this. Even in those times, those horrific times, our ancestors still came together. You see how our ancestors still came together after they was kidnapped from their indigenous land and brought to a land that was foreign to them, introduced to people that they did not know, seen horrific things as far as their mothers being raped, their fathers' testicles being cut off, their fathers being beaten, their fathers being sodomized, their women being tied to horses and ripped apart and the baby falling down. All these horrific things, they still came together. And this is a blueprint or something that we need to take. We are going through some of the same oppressions still today, but we are so separate, and we need to fuse ourselves together in order to overcome. A prime example of that is from 1791 to 1804, the Haitian Revolution. Or prior to the Haitian Revolution, those that practice voodoo is talk about the people, the Zulu people. The same thing, same results. Hold on. Woo. All right. Okay. Next slide. All right, family. Here is an example of what the last, which I kind of already done broke down, but I just gave an example. Family, here is an example of what the last slide means by different groups fusing their spiritual system, which I already broke down. Imagine a form of example. The Congolese and the Igbos sold into slavery together. We know these are different parts of Africa. Either they had to combine their separate rites, or else the similarities of their rituals would impose upon them a cruel and mutual isolation in the heart of the new community to which the slave trade took then. The result of such tribal fusion was that the two different spiritual groups will more or less combine their beliefs, thereby creating a new slave community. So again, I just gave an example, and that was our ancestors fusing their spiritual systems and creating Voodoo, which is stemmed from Vodun. All right. Other things that came from the enslavement of Africans. Slavery included stripping the slaves of their language, culture, and heritage. This religion had to take some different forms. It had to be practiced in secret, since in some places it was punishable by death, and it had to be adopted to the loss of the African languages in the order to survive. Voodoo also adapted many elements in Christianity, and we see this in Yoruba as well. We see that Yoruba adopted certain things when you deal with the Ifa tradition with Saturnalia, Lukambe, Shango Baptist, and etc. They fused the Christian patrons because, again, it was illegal. It was illegal, and you was punished. You was either beaten to death, you was hung, or you was set on fire for practicing your indigenous spiritual systems. So they had to hide their systems, their spiritual systems, in this new form of religion that they was introduced called Christianity. So they would disguise some of their in Ifa, they would disguise the Orishas. In Voodoo, they would describe their luau's. Yes, and Kamdambala too, Ben, yeah. Also the Absalom with the Akan people in Ghana. So they would have to disguise their spiritual systems into Christianity. So they had to adopt some forms of Christianity into the spiritual system, so it looked like that they was actually practicing Christianity. When the French, who were the colonizers of Haiti, realized that the religion of the Africans was a threat to the colonial system, they prohibited all African religion practice and severe punish the practitioners of voodoo with imprisonment, lashing, and hangings. This religion structures continued for 3 centuries, but none of the punishment would extinguish the faith of the Africans. This process of acculturation helped voodoo to grow under the harsh culture's conditions in many areas in America. Peace, Josh Woodward. Peace, Nahesi. All right. South Benin, the culture, area of Fon, Gon, Mian, and the U people is characterized by a similar concept of divinity. Belief in the existence of God is general. This God recognized as a super being, as a transcendence of reference to the term Ma'u. So the supreme deity in southern Benin, those that practice Voodoo, was Ma'u. For the people of southern Benin, Ma'u is good, but he does not concern himself directly with man. He is omnipotent, but has delegated his powers to the Voduns. Hence the Voduns, recognized as Mu'au, creation. According to the Fon expression, Mu'au, Widu, Vodun Li, or Mu'au, representative among men, signs of the divinities, immense in response to the spiritual desires of mankind. It is the sense that Vodun designated all that is sacred, all powerful, coming from the invisible world to influence the world of the living. Everything that is a mystery. For this reason, it is explicit, distinct from Mu'au. Peace, Brother Allen. All right. So we talked about the Fon people in southern Benin, and the supreme being was called Mu'au in that area. And Mu'au had sons that they called the Voduns. But the Voduns and the Luaus are the same. And again, when you understand the different, you start to study the different African spiritual systems, they are basically all similar, one and the same. So the Voduns are the Luaus. So the Luaus is no different than the Orishas in southern Nigeria, the Yoruba people that practice in southern Nigeria, or central and South Benin, or the people in West in Ghana that practice that they use the Absalom, or no different than North Africa, the people that the Kimatu or the Remich that deals with the nature all similar, all similar. So let's go into some of the Voduns, which is his 7 sons, the 7 sons of Mu'au, which is the supreme being in Vodun in southern Benin. This is the eldest son of Mu'au, Sabata. This is the eldest son of Mu'au, to whom the earth was entrusted. Aya Vodun, the Vodun of the earth. His power is feared and terrified. His attributes are armed of smallpox, scissors, and chains of black, whites, and red dots. Sabata has many sons, including the Vodun of leprosy, Ada Tanji, and the incurable scores, Sinji Olo Somato. And I have no clue of what this son name is here. Ibiso, maybe. This is the Vodun of the sky, Jivudun, whom manifests himself in thunder and lightning. So you will start to see, and again, you will start to see some of the same similarities when you see thunder and lightning. Who do this Vodun Mu'au son remind you of? He remind you of who? The Orisha Shango. He is Ma'u, the second son, is considered a Vodun of justice who punished thieves, liars, criminals, and evildoers. His attributes are the thunderbolts and the double axe, the ram, the color red, wow, and fire. has several sons, including Sangbo, Elubo, Eviliki, Evikiti, Agbi. This is, which is a name for elder in the Yoruba language. This is the Vodun of the sea, Tovanda. He is known as Hu. He is represented by the serpent and the symbol of everything that gives life, which he could be Oya. One of his powerful children is Dan Toaxo, who manifested himself the birth of the monster baby. Gu. This is the voodoo of iron and war. So we start to see, you family, Alafier Cuban crisis. So you start to see again some of the comparatives. As I stated a while ago, I had the fun people and one side, a picture of the fun people. On the other side, I had the Yoruba people. And I one slide, I talk about how the Vodun and Ifa is similar. And I went into some of the similarities of what Vodun and Ifa are. So you can see some of the, what's the name there? Okulon / Akbi, yeah. This is the fifth son. Ma'u is the Vodun of agriculture and the forest. He reigns over animals and birds. Gu, okay, Gu is Ogun. Yep, Gu is Ogun because it says iron and war. Yes, we know he is the Orisha of iron and war. Yep. Let me see. Konsun Abdi Guru Joshu Letba Kepara. Yep, Shango. Yep, as I stated. Yep, greeting Walter Johnson and Johnson Kof. All right, peace. Lawanda Stovall, peace, Joshua Chambers. Just trying to see who all is on here. I don't want to leave nobody. I don't want to not be polite and don't speak. All right, Ajig, the fifth son of Ma'u, is the Vodun of agriculture and the forest. He reigns over animals and birds. Joe, this Vodun is characterized by invisibility. He is the Vodun of the air. Legba. Sakata, Sapina, or Baluya. Go in, Ben, go in. Legba. This is the Ma'u youngest son. He receives no endowment at all because all had already been shared out among his elders. He is jealous. It is he who loosens the rigid structures of the pantheon. He is the Vodun of the unpredictable, of what cannot be assigned to any other, and he is characterized by daily tragedies, all that is beyond good and evil. So these was some of the sons of Ma'u, which is the supreme deity or the all in all, and the Vodun, and by the fun people and Benin. Family, please share the video too. If you're on here, please share the video. Tag some people in the video also. All right. The Vodun pantheon is a deity composed of luau's, as I stated. So we know most of the spiritual systems, they have a supreme being or a supreme deity, and they have the lesser deities. And again, as I stated, in the Vodun, in the voodoo of Vodun, you have the luau's. The luau's are no different than the Orishas or the Netcha'us or the Absalom. No different. So most, again, when you look and you study these systems, so you study the systems, you'll see that the similarities that came from all parts of African tradition, as it that the term voodoo is drawn from the language of the Fons. Other tribes that contribute voodoo deities were the Nego people, the Igbos, the Congos, the Dahamis, the Sinhalese, the Hassarians, the Kalapos, the Mandingis, the Mandugis, the Angolese, the Libyans, the Ethiopians, and the Malgases. The enslaved Fons and the Ouz in Haiti and in Louisiana synchronized the luau's with the Roman Catholic saints, as I stated earlier in a other slide where they wasn't the only people that synchronized. I gave you the people in southern Nigeria for this Lukami, Kandambala, Shango Baptist, Santa Maria fuse their spiritual system in, or synchronize their system in with Christianity, so that they wouldn't be killed, hanged, burnt, or beaten to death, because they was practicing their own indigenous system and forced to practice a foreign religion to them. Voodoo altars will frequently display images of Catholic saints. For example, Papa Legba is synchronized with St. Peter's or St. Lazarus. Synchronized also works the other way in Haitian voodoo, and many Catholic saints have become luau's in their own right. Most notable, Falumian, St. Michael's, the Archangel, St. Jude, and John the Baptist. The word luau, comes from the French les lois, the law in English. The lois, the law of the creation. So again, we're talking about we're talking about forces. We're talking about elements. You see, the laws of creation created the laws of animism, spirits, and invisible manifestations such as plants, animals, men, but chiefly the ancestors, because voodoo is essential cultures of ancestor veneration of this. The original of the symbols of voodoo deities have become extraordinary, complex, both in supernatural levels and a geographical level, because the assimilation of new deities day after day into the pantheon. Some of these new deities come from the noteworthy personalities of the dead initiates whose souls have become deified, which we can't wait to support, bro Ben. Divine laws, that's right, bro Ben. And shoot, where I lost what I was saying. Okay, so there are so many luau's. I mean, there are a lot of luau's, and you can see here, as it's stated, that some of these new deities come from the noteworthy personalities of the dead initiated whose souls have become divine. It is, I mean, and it says here levels, because assimilations of new deities day after day. So there are so many different luau's, and I'm going to give some, but I'm not going to give all of them, because there are so many luau's. And if you want to know and go more into depth in the luau's and other luau's, the secrets of voodoo, which is used here in the book. I mean, used here in my PowerPoint. It's a great book that goes into the luau's. It gives you every luau. I don't say every luau, but it gives you a lot of it's a bunch of them in there. So that's a great book if you want a more understanding. Understanding. So it is important to name all the luau's, especially since every day new ones are created out of the spirits of the dead initiated by the voodoo priest. And we can see, if you look at Shango and Oya, one of the Odus, tell us that they became divine. They became an Orisha. So they became divine. If you look at the image of the Kemetu culture in Kemet in North Africa, Imhotep, he became a Neteru. He became divine as well. So this is basically what it's talking about here, here in this slide also. All right, here are some of the names of some of the luau's. I could have gave some more descriptions of the luau's, but I'm trying not to. I didn't try to make the video to be too long, and we still got a little ways to go. Not too much go, but here's some of the name. Anti Gibi ni Mosi, which is a luau, Yadin Gibi, Denba Lau, Dambala Yiwa, which a lot of us know about Dambala. And again, with some of these names, if you get the Secrets of Voodoo, which is an excellent read, if you get that book, the book goes into depth, into detail about each one of these luau's, and goes into depth of the other ones. Because again, like I said, they are making luau's day after day after day. So there are so many different luau's. Muau, Lesse, Lekba, Izuli, and some of these are male and female. Ugu Fear, Ogu Shango. You see the name Shango here because again they synchronize, they merge some of their systems together. So you'll see some of the names. The names are interchangeable. You'll see some of the names, some of the Orisha's names into the Vodun system. Oguhe, and excuse me because I'm gonna pronounce some of the names wrong, so I'm gonna try to pronounce them as correctly as I can. Or Oyo, Grandi Oluba, Paka Loko Asamba Bulu Gude, Oruyo, Ganga, Ziagan, Lamba, Loko, Pa, Sobo, Simbi, Memo Bridget, Nkisi, La Serene, Peace, Edward Savage, Lovana, Oguya, Badesi, Anmino, Anisi Pai, Dan Petro, Philomes, Gedi Lento, Galafo, Zing Zambi, Galua Gadun Gude, Zak Ligman, Zimbi Ian Kita, Zimbi U and Pola, Adan Man Si Widu, Asoto, Micho To Kipo, Duno Vudan, Hekabeso, Sophie Bade, So Man Kill. And excuse me, family, for I love this. I'm just typing. Go ahead, sis. Do your thing, Kaba Neti Auntie. So I didn't, these are not all of them. Again, as I stated, these are not all of the luau's. But I didn't have, it was gonna take up a bunch of slides if I put all the luau's in here and then put exactly what these certain luau's functions were, which are all or nothing but forces in nature, forces in the cosmos, principles, and characteristics. All right. During voodoo ceremony, these luau's can possess the bodies of ceremonies participants. Luau's appears by possessions by faithful, in turn becoming the luau, relying advised warnings and desires. Voodoo is an enemy's fate. So I'm gonna stop there and I'm gonna keep reading. So in some of the ceremonies, and I wanted to go in some of the ceremonies and go into details about certain things that go on in the ceremony, but again, I wasn't trying to make the video too long. But this is a lot of information here, so I had to cut a lot of things out and not put a lot of things in. But and I may come back and do a part 2. But during this voodoo ceremony, it says these luau's can possesses the body in the ceremony participation. So the luau's can mount the body. The luau's appears in possession of the faith, in turn becoming the luau, relying on advice, warnings, and desires. This is no different than you going into a church, right? And you see people getting up and woo, thank you, and they shout and they talking in tongues. They talk. It's no different, family. It's no different. So when you see people talk about possession and oh, that's evil and stuff, it's no different when you go into these churches. These people are getting up like they possess, and they're clapping and they're screaming and they're shouting and they're talking in another language they ain't never talked in, and saying things that they don't even know that they are saying. Same thing, family. Oh yeah, he's coming in. He's coming in. I'm gonna announce it this weekend. He's gonna do something with me. He's gonna do something with me. All right. Voodoo is an animistic faith that is objective and natural phenomenon, or believed a possessive holy significance to possessing the soul. You know, they'll say the Holy Spirit took them over. No different. Thus, the luau of Agui is the divine presence behind the hurricane. The serpent figure heavily into the voodoo faith. And Brother Ben did something on the serpent power a while back here, I think on Sabneta's TV, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm incorrect, correct me on that, Brother Ben. But I think it was on that platform, though. The word voodoo has been translated as the snake under whose auspices gather all who share the faith. The high priest and the priestess of the faith, often called Papa or Mama, Maman, are the vehicles for the expressions of the serpent power. And if y'all hadn't checked it out, I don't know if Brother Ben's still on here, but if he's still on here, he can tell you exactly what platform that was on, so you can check out that video on the serpent power. I think he did that about maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, some people do. Some people do Cuban crosses. Most charmings of the luau's is said to be Riesling. She is said the mirror of. Oh yes, yep. I think I got something in there on that too, Queen. I think I do. I might have took it out because I took this presentation, man. I mean, it took me 2 days, and I had all type of problems and had to take stuff out and accidentally deleted stuff and couldn't get stuff uploaded right. But it may be still in here. During the voodoo ceremonies, these luau's can possess the body of the ceremony participants. Luau's appear in possession, the faithful, who in turn becomes the luau, relying advice, warnings, and desires, voodoos, animisms, and the faith. I think I already, I done repeated I'm repeated the same cycle, but here's some of the ceremony, one of the ceremonies here, where the sisters are in the water, certain type of ceremony that's going on. And I might do part 2 so we can go into some of the rituals and some of the ceremonies and get an understanding of some of the rituals and the ceremonies. Voodoo, and here on this side, you see a fire priest. And you can see the fire priest with the headgear and the beads coming down the headdress, which is a fire priest. And we know with the practice, those that practice a practitioner of Ifa, we know that Ifa has a divination system that has the Opan Ifa, which is the divination chair, the Ikes, which is the palm nuts, the Akba, which is the cola nuts, the Akban, which is the coconuts, the Opele, which is the divination chain, and the Oruko, which is the divination tapper. So the people that practice voodoo has a divination system too as well, and this is one of the divination priests right here. And again, we can tell that he is like which is called Fa, and what is so similar to tradition to Ifa, which is surrounded around the divination with a Rilima. Their system is the people, the voodoo is called Fa. Their divination system is called Fa. I know you're going to get there, Mambi, in part 2. You can deal with the 2 luau's most associated with death, GD, Boko, the practitioner, black magic is called, as they call it, black magic. Peace, Victoria M. Gaskin. Yeah, I probably go in with it and go a little bit more depth into it in part 2, because if I would have just went through everything I wanted to go through, because I had to take some stuff out, it would have, we'd have been on here for hours. on here because it's just so much information. I'm just trying to get people some clarity on a lot of these things and some understanding on a lot of these things. Get out of this misconception of what Hollywood and TV and our oppressor have told us about our own indigenous ancient systems. Okay, so Voodoo has a system of divination system to a system of divination system to it, and is a similar Yoruba and similar to Yoruba people that practice Ifa. Voodoo is a system of divination, is dedicated to the deity Fa, who was said to have presented the tribes with some special palm nuts. And again, Inki in the Europe, that's what it's called in the Yoruba language, Inki, the palm nuts, of the Ifa, Inca Ifa, which is the palm nuts, brought down from the heavens. The diviner in both systems is supposed to throw the nuts from one hand to the another. And we know most of the people in the Yoruba tradition, the diviners that does the divination systems are the Babaluas. The nuts from the one hand to another, and depends on whether the remaining nuts were odds and evens. Mark down either one or two marks on the powder scattered in divine board. And I talked about this in my last presentation when we went into the divination, when I did my presentation on the introduction to Yoruba. ETM Hotep sent it, Monica. Peace, Notoria Hotep sent it, Lisa. I talked about the divination system a little bit in the introduction of Yoruba. I don't know, was it the part 1 I did or the part 2? If you hadn't looked at the part 1 or the part 2, go back and go to Kofi Paisai TV and subscribe if you hadn't subscribed. Subscribe, hit the bell, and then look. I think it's either in part 1 or is it part 2 that I go into the divination system. And I talk about the divination system, but the divination system is actually a binary code, and the computer system operates off a binary system as well. But we know that the divination system of the binary code existed before we even got to a computer. So I just want to throw that out there with what I'm saying here. And it's similar. Again, I talk about the Voodoo people practicing the forms of divination called Fa, and it is dedicated to the deity Fa. So, and the diviner, he throws things like when you're dealing with the Yoruba tradition too. They are throwing the Ikan, or the Agba onto the Opan Ifa, or they're dealing with the Opele, which is the divination chain. You know what I'm saying? So the same similar things here with Voodoo. Bro, Ben, I see you back on here, man. I touched on the serpent power a little bit. I knew you did a presentation on the serpent power maybe 2 years ago. So I'm trying to see, I was trying to direct the people to your presentation. I don't know, was it on Shanetta's TV or was it on somebody else's platform? But I know you did some on the serpent power. I touched on that just briefly on one of the slides. Peace, Elena Perriman. Peace, bro, Ralph Johnson. Yeah, but I touched on that. So I don't know if the video's still up, and if it is, you can tell them exactly what platform it is, so they can go look up the presentation that you did. But getting on back to it, so you can see that they have their system of divination as well as the same as the Yoruba people. The diviner in both systems is supposed to throw the nuts from one hand to another, and depending on whether the remaining nuts were odds or even, mark down either one or two marks on the powder scattered on the divining board. It is this patterns traced on the board which provides the data for the interpretations of the oracle. And again, this is I see you working, brother. Yeah, you're trying to anyway, bro, Ralph. Just sharing some information, man. So when you see so it's the same similar things, man. And when you're dealing with the Yoruba culture, and again, if you didn't look at the video, Go to Kofi Paisa TV, subscribe to the I'm gonna keep saying it because I'm gonna keep worrying y'all to death till y'all subscribe to my channel. Because I know some people on here that had subscribed. So please support me. And go subscribe to my channel. Again, it's Kofi Paisa TV. Subscribe, hit the bell. It's a lot of content on there. And again, you can go back and you can look at the introduction of Yoruba Part 1 and the introduction of Yoruba Part 2. And I got an introduction of Yoruba Part 3 coming that I should have did. But I went in, I wanted to do some other things. So please subscribe and hit the bell and support me. And I got a few things that's coming up this weekend. I actually got some stuff that's coming from back to back. I'm talking about back to back to back to back male. And then I have a female that's coming on to the show. I'll share her name a little bit later on during the week with who else coming on the platform on Saturday, who coming on the platform on Sunday, and the female who's coming on the platform on Monday or Tuesday. Appreciate that, Queen Kaba, Nettie, Auntie, and Monica Lamb. Get on them, Monica. Get on them. But anyway, yes, they have a system, divination system too. That's called a fire. Again, this individual over here is the fire priest, which we know he's a fire priest by the way he's dressed and the headgear he got on with the beads hanging over the head. So he is a diviner. All right. Here is something from the book Benin. So I wanted to, this is something in here just dealing with what I was talking about, dealing with the fire and the divination system that's dealing with voodoo, which is similar to the Ifa divination system, which is seems Fa, Ifa, and so forth. Diviner has the ability to reveal secrets of the past, present, and the future, thanks to their repertoire and certain spirits of gods who are happily to reveal such things to them. And we know those that are practitioners of Ifa, we know that Arulima reveals these secrets or reveal these things through us through the divination system. Their knowledge and visions allow them to help people with problems to work out the best solution. And the Babaluaus or the Iya Orisha are the ones who we go to. And I'm just giving you a perspective in the Yoruba culture. The knowledge and the vision allows them to help people with problems and work out their best solutions. They do through what, and they go to the papas and the mamas. That's what is the priest, but we'll get into that in a minute. They do this through what is known as Fa reading, in which the spirit communicates their answers to questions and requests through the patterns in which the 5 stones fall them thrown by the 5 readers, which the last slide that I talked about, I also talked about this same thing in this book right here, Benin, the Bradget Travel Guide. All right. Only the 5 readers has the ability to translate the meanings of these many different patterns. You have to have so many types of skills to do this. So you have to go through so many years of certain things to be able to do this. The 5 readings of the South Belings are one of the most complicated divinity systems in the world. If you are interested in what the future may hold, then it will well worth the visit. A 5 reader. In Yoruba culture, a 5 reader is a person of great importance, and as a father of the mystery, has a direct line to the ear of Arulima, which I stated a while ago. And again, if I talked about this in my presentation on the introduction of Yoruba. I don't know if it was in part 1 or it was in part 2, but just check out both parts, and I got part 3 coming. So please go subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and support your brother. Healers are witch doctors, which we know where this name comes from. Well, I'm not even finna go into that right there, but I just wanted to read this part up here, just talking about the 5 readings. It's similar to the Yoruba culture, their divination systems and the readings. And again, as I stated, Arulima is the one that is actually, we're getting this information, we're receiving this information from Arulima through the divination, divination system. Okay, so here the Hogan are the Mahbu. So these are the priest and the priestess up here. just hold in high regards. The Hogan, according to the Voodoo, and again, I may be pronouncing the name wrong, so please forgive me, family, for that. According to the Voodoo Cabal, the Hogan is also an etymology, a pope or papa, and that is why he is a traditionally called the papa or Papa Lua, and this is what the priest or high priest is called. For the same reason, every priestess is Mabu, called Menman or Mama, which is the priestess. The authority of the Hagun and the Mabu is greater and all more certain because everything they process directly from the powers of the invisibles, the luau's, and the mysteries, the deities of the voodoos, is called. Now, family, let's see what type of roles voodoo play for the community, family, tribes, clans, and the practice. So let's see, family, what's going on. So we kind of got a basic understanding of how voodoo, how Vodun is our tradition, and it exists longer. Some of the consensus says 6,000, some say 10,000 years that this system, this spiritual system, has been in place, and a lot of the systems that we're practicing now are baby systems. For the Judaism, a lot of our families still in Judaism, a lot of our families still in Christianity, a lot of our families still in Islam. So, and those are 2,000 to 3,000 years old, you know, and I'm just giving them that. And our indigenous systems go back further than that. This system goes back further than that. The Vodun goes back further than that. But we know through the Atlantic slave trade, we had different people. There are different people, different Africans from different regions, spoke different languages and practiced, had their own spiritual system, fused their spiritual systems, and created voodoo via the 16th to the 19th century during the Atlantic slave trade. So voodoo is a practical religion playing an important role in the family and the community. One ancestors, for instance, are believed to be a part of the world of the spirits, of the luau's, and this is in basically every spiritual system. The Akan people, I did a presentation on the Akan people, so I talked about the Apson. So if you hadn't looked at that presentation, go to Kofi Paisai TV. I got a whole presentation on the Akan people in Ghana. So I go through their spiritual systems. I go through the Kente cloth, how they make the Kente cloth. I go through a lot of the Adrika symbols. I give you the meanings of the Adrika symbols. I even give you the meaning of the Adrika symbols. The Adrika symbols. Hold on, y'all. The Adrika symbols doing the funeral. So if you hadn't checked it out, go to their go to my YouTube channel, and that presentation is on there as well. But are believed to be a part of the world of the spirits of the luau's, and this is one way the voodoo serves to root and participates in their own history and tradition. Another practical aspect of voodoo ceremonies is a participant often comes before the priest and priestess to seek advice, spiritual guidance, or help with their problems. The priest or priestess then, through divine aid, and offer help such as healing through the use of herbs and medicine, because we understand we are all interconnected. We also help each other. Using knowledge that has been passed down with the religion itself, or healings through faith itself as a common in other religions, voodoo teach a respect for the natural world, because we understand we are a part of the natural world. So, and we know that we get certain ideals from those who have oppressed us, those who have kidnapped our ancestors, that we are separate from nature, and that is incorrect. Because a lot of what we have been indoctrinated to believe that we are separate from nature, when nature and us and the creator are one and the same. Unfortunately, the public perceives the voodoo ritual seems often to the point to the evil and malicious side of things. There are healing spells, natural spells, love spells, purification spells, joy celebration spells. Spirits may be invoked to bring harmony and peace. It says harmony and peace, birth and rebirth, increased abundance of luck, material happiness, renewed health. The faith is for those who believed it. Voodoo is powerful. It is also empowering to the person who practices it. So how is it a devil worship a system? How is it an evil system? How is it a dark system when we see that this system is used for us to go to those that have been here longer than us and have exhibit good character, that we go to them for spiritual guidance, we go to them for counseling, we go to them for knowledge, we go to them for healing, we go to them for peace. This thing is set up for peace, health, birth, rebirth, abundance, luck, material of happiness, renewing a person. So none of these things has nothing to deal with the misconceptions of what Hollywood, what the TV, what the slave owner, and what these garbage novels that we have read about our ancestors to be absolutely false, inaccurate, and incorrect. But when we go back, as I showed you earlier, all of this stuff stems from them kidnapping our ancestors and forcing their way of life on our ancestors, forcing their religion on us. Because when we came in with our indigenous systems, what did they do? They tried to beat us to death. They tried to hang us, burn us, if we practiced our indigenous systems. So we had to synchronize our systems in with their systems, and they demonized our systems. And through time immemorial of being a slave for so many, for hundreds of years, they began to erase our history, our culture, our language, and replace it with theirs. And through the indoctrination of placing evil things onto our indigenous system so we wouldn't go back to it. So let's stop with the foolishness. Please, let's stop with the foolishness. So when we hear the word voodoo, it shouldn't be a trigger or a mechanism in your subconscious or in your psyche that voodoo or voodoo is evil. We just gave you a rundown of what it is, what type of role it plays for those who practice voodoo or voodoo. It has nothing to do with evil. Voodoo dolls originated in Africa diaspora as a part of the spiritual folkway and are now often found within New Orleans voodoo, as well as the remaining and major parts of the Haitian voodoo. Although voodoo dolls are sometimes thought to be used to bring negative effects, the voodoo dolls can be used for good in your own life or in the life of others, for love, healing, protection, success, and many other things. I'm gonna say that again, man. A voodoo doll can be used for good in your own life or in the dolls or in the life of others, for love, for healing, protection, success, and many other things. The dolls is often representations of the person who desires to appeal to the voodoo spirits. Voodoo to some is a religion, to others is a mystery. And to some, voodoo dolls are used to promote positive change in their life. You hear that, family? Used to promote positive change in their life. It is used for love. It is used for healing. It is used for protection. It is used for success and many other things. So the voodoo dolls are also, been has been under attack as evil, and you see all these different movies now with the voodoo dolls, and they got the sharp teeth and the knives and all types of stuff and bite. This stuff comes from movie. We learned this foolishness from Hollywood, TV, these garbage novels, and the slave owner. All right, I'm about to wrap it up, family. I screenshotted this. I'm not gonna read all of this, but this was somebody that went into Togo, and they talked about meeting one of the voodoo priests and purchasing a voodoo doll. So I'm just gonna read. Let's see. I forgot. Let's see. Let me see. Well, I just thought here. Finally, we can relax after moving out our first hotel. We wandered down to the Lagrange Marchi, really almost the same as the once occurrence. We had a wonderful 3-course meal where Barry ate a pigeon, yuck, but it was probably one of the best meals I have had since we arrived in Africa. I had a cream brulee appetizer made with a sun-dried tomato and fresh basil. This morning, we headed to the La Marche des Fetiches, or the fetish market. A fetish market is a traditional voodoo market. All they can say is, whoa. Wait until you see our pictures of this one. Everything from monkey heads, crocodile heads, to bats, snakes, lions, manes. We had a tour guide who was very helpful. We even saw a voodoo priest. It was actually very educational as a traditional view of Hollywood. Voodooism are pretty skewed in theory. Voodoo is actually all about positive spiritual energy. Not evil voodoo dolls, although I did pick one up. But wow, that was way out there. So I just wanted to read something here too to reiterate some of the slides that I was talking about, of how voodoo became demonized, and actually what voodoo was, and those that practice voodoo, what it did for the community, what it did for the nation, what it did for the tribes, what it did for the clans, and then people going into Togo or going into Benin or going into Nigeria in certain areas, vacation. And I'm just this specific one. I could have gave some more other things, but I just wanted to give this article of a guy going in, I'm assuming a European going in and meeting a voodoo priest in Togo, which is in West Africa. And he was under the same impression until he sat down and he talked with a voodoo priest. And then he actually purchased a voodoo doll. And then he said that voodoo was a positive spiritual, voodoo is actually about positive spiritual energy, not evil. Because again, when we mention the word voodoo, you know, all types of things goes off in our subconscious, which the oppressor, you know what I'm saying, the slave owner, the movies, Hollywood, TV has, and these garbage novels, as I keep reiterating, has pushed in our head that voodoo is some type of evil thing. What's your channel again? It's called Kofi Paisa TV. My name, TV, Kofi Paisa TV. Once you click on it, go into type it in YouTube, it's gonna come up because I got a bunch of videos on there. So hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button. So when I go live, you will notice, you'll see a lot of, you'll see I'm going live, which I'll be going live Saturday. I got a show Saturday with a guest. I announce the guest Friday. I got a guest that's coming on the show on Sunday. I'm announce the guest on Sunday. And then I got a female that's coming on the show on Sunday. So I got a few shows that's coming back to back. So if you don't want to miss it, I appreciate that. There it is, Natoya, Senna Hesse, put the link right in there. So please subscribe to the channel, support me. But I just wanted to put this in here of this individual, Kofi. But that's right, Monica. Get on Senate, Monica. You supposed to be regulating these people in here, Senate, Monica. They ain't doing what they supposed to be doing. You need to be on them. Appreciate that. I'm Puma Atra. All right, we about through, family. From 1992, Benin chosen at January the 10th each year a National Day of Voodoo, which again, that's tomorrow. Each year they have their National Day of Voodoo, you know, which they adopted in 1920. And again, as I stated, Benin was called Dahomey. And after 1975, after they got from up under the thumb of liberated themselves from the French in 1975, they became Benin. And in 1922, they chose a day for their National Day of Voodoo Day, where they get together and do things and rituals and ceremonies. And part 2, I'll go more in depth into the luau's, which are a lot of them, which I gave the names of some here, but I'm not going to go into all of them because they are creating luau's, the lesser deities, the everyday peace. Garfield, I didn't see you come in there, man, but peace to you, brother Garfield. So the voodoo rituals that attempt through dances is to enter a kind of communion with nature and to get expressed, all getting to encourage of God, manifest by the select attributes during voodoo ceremonies, always accompanied by songs and dance rituals. People tend to consume sabade, that's palm wine, in the Yoruba culture, that is called ike, and other natural stimulants. The aim is to create the right atmosphere to communicate with the spirits and the deities of the pantheon, with the spirits of the ancestors. Animal sacrifice is a central part of the offering, which Baba, during the beginning of the presentation, Baba Smalls opened it up. I gave a video of Baba Smalls going into voodoo, and I just went off with the things that it talked about in the video from slide to slide. And he talked about animal sacrifice and that energy. We're gaining that energy from those animals. And again, before we even slaughtered the animals for different sacrifice, we always ask the pray over the animal, ask the animal for certain things, ask the animal for forgiveness before we even slaughter the animals. But we don't do that today. Your local meat market, what you think you do to love these hunters? What they do? They go out there and kill. They don't talk to the animal. You know, they don't ask the animal, okay, I need this animal. I need you for nourishment. I need you for nourishment. I need you for this energy, whatever type of animal, certain. We need you such and such, and pray over the animal and certain things like that. And I may do something on that where we go a little bit in farther than that. But again, we consuming meat today. We're killing animals today. We going out there hunting animals, we slaughtering animals, and they not talking to the animals. They not telling the animals why they are slaughtering them and what they needing them for, praying over the animals, and so forth on with the energy. So, and I may do something on that. It is an essential part of the offering that are owed to the gods, and the importance of the ceremonies, the petitions of circumstance, sacrifice of domestic animal species and others. The cocks and hens are most common, followed by goats, porks, bacchus, and etc. So I just gave some things of what they do during their national day of voodoo, and I may come back and go a little bit more into depth if I do a part 2 in that, because I want to touch on the rituals and the ceremonies in voodoo. I go a little bit more into that and elaborate on that. Okay, we're about done, family. Places voodoo's are practiced. We know voodoo is practiced in the Caribbean. Haiti, we know is predominant in Haiti. And again, go study from the Haiti Revolution from 1791 to 1804. Where they destroyed and became liberated as they pushed the French out. Dominican Republic, Cuba, Bermuda, Galupia, I might be saying the name wrong, Martinique, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, and the Trinidad. They also practice voodoo. In the United States, you got Florida, you got Charlton, you got New Orleans, and you got Galveston. And I know definitely in New Orleans, I'm not that far from New Orleans. So definitely in New Orleans, and I got some folks in New Orleans, so I definitely know about the lifestyle down there, and in Galveston, which is in Texas. I've been to Galveston, and it's heavy. Voodoo is heavy down there. The practice is heavy down there in Galveston, Texas as well. All right, here is my references right here. Finding the Soul and the Path of the Orishas, West African Spiritual Traditions by Togo Corina, which is a great book. The Chronology of Human Evolution by Unc West. The Secrets of Voodoo by Malo Rigard, which is a good book. Goes into depth, heavy study book, pictures, also a lot of things in there. This is by this here is the Voodoo African Voodoo Foundation Carrera pour, I can't read no French, La Art Contemporaire, Paris, 2001. This is a catalog that I got by Marcus Abu that I got information out. So the first 4 is books and catalogs, and the last ones are articles, travel blog. This is where I got, why I went on a travel blog, and I actually got a guy that went to West Africa, and him meeting a voodoo priest, talking to a voodoo priest. The voodoo priest explained voodoo to him. He purchased a doll, and then he even made a comment that voodoo is a positive spiritual system. I'm paraphrasing exactly what he said, but in African Holocaust.net, Voodoo is a great website that has articles on. So I pulled some information off of there. Astrology Society, I pulled a little information out there dealing with the Fa Fa system, which is the divination system, and voodoo, which is similar to the voodoo system. I mean, similar to the divination system in the Yoruba culture. Those who practice Ifa, which I'm a practitioner of. Shoot, I don't know. Books, Google. Okay, this was the Benin book. I screenshotted page 26. Page 26. I screenshot it, and I also used some of it in my slide, page 24 in that book. And the Tunkana WordPress.com, I used something in there, I don't know which it was, but something dealing with the people, the Togo people that practice voodoo, which is right on the border of Benin, which we know they said voodoo. Am I still on, family? Am I still on? Let me know if I'm still on. I'm presenting my references, but let me know if I'm still on. Somebody say yes, no, maybe so, thumbs up. Okay, I thought I had went off. Okay, so I thought I had went off, but these are my references. Here you can go through my references, and again, as I stated in my my disclaimer, you know, I'm merely a student sharing information, encouragements. You know what I'm saying, is needed. Don't mind being critiqued. Vent my sources if you want to vent my sources. I have no problem with that, but these are my references. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the show. I will, if you hadn't subscribed to the channel, and I'm upset with some of y'all, because some of y'all, you know, I thought y'all would have been subscribed to the channel. I support y'all, so I just ask that y'all support me too. You know, go and subscribe to the channel if you hadn't subscribed to the channel. You know, hit the like bell. You know, we supposed to be supporting one another. You know, helping one another out. And I support a lot of people, brag on a lot of people, shout out a lot of people name, buy a lot of people product. You know, build with a lot of people. And all I'm asking for is the same thing in return. I'm asking for it to be reciprocated back, family. So go and support me. You know, go and support the channel. Kofi Paisa TV. Go and subscribe to the channel. On Friday, I'll be announcing what's, yes, that's right, Monica. That's right, send that, Monica, and hit that bell. Subscribe and hit that bell. Peace, Chris. Peace, Scoop. Peace, Sin Damo. I see y'all just came into the chat. I want to speak to everybody. That's right, Monica. Get on them. That's right. Get on them. So, you know, just support me. And Friday, I'm gonna go live, and just to let y'all know what's coming up on Kofi Paisa TV. Again, I'm gonna try to have something back to back. I'm gonna try to have a guest on Saturday. I announced the guest Friday who's gonna be on the channel Saturday, and he's gonna present at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, my time, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time his way, but I'll let y'all know who the presenter is. I'll announce the presenter Friday, and then I have another guest coming on Sunday at 5:30. Sunday at 5:30, and I'll announce that guest on Friday as well, and then he's gonna be on Sunday. And then I have another guest, which is a sister. I'm gonna announce her on Friday, and she's gonna come on the show either Monday or a Tuesday. So, because again, I want to get the females on the show. We should have balance, and I'm still going to do a presentation on the females, who were Nasut Bitties, who were kings who ruled in North Africa. So be looking forward to that presentation as well. I may not come back next week and do something on Facebook because I got 4 shows on my channel. 13 Black Dot Bookstore grand opening in Atlanta Saturday. Okay, on the 13th. Okay, yeah. So if y'all in the Atlanta area, go support the Black Dot Bookstore. A lot of you know the face of the bookstore, which is Uncle Kit. And actually, he was one of my references in my books. I got one of his books, so I used some information out of his book. So check that out. So family, I want to say I appreciate, yes, he's a part of the Amin-Ra squad as well. I want to say ETM Hotep family, that means depart in peace. And then before y'all get out of here, I want to play my video at the end. I'm gonna keep y'all with the video. So I'm out, family. Appreciate the love. Go subscribe to the channel and hit the bell.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man.
I'm bridging my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should. Bring purple of the energy, I should. Five from a different frequency. I'm ripping my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I should. Bring purple of the energy, I should. Five from a different frequency.